Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. Welcome to the February 26, 2025 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I hereby call this meeting to order. We are here and we will be here for through this year and into 2026 at the Finger Lakes campus of Empire State University, 680 West Fall Road here in Brighton, while our renovation project continues at Town Hall. The work is going well. The asbestos abatement is continuing. Just as a reminder, although we have moved over here, the library, the town court, and the town police department are still in their normal offices at 2300 Elmwood Avenue. The highway department is in its normal office at 1941 Elmwood in the garage there, and the parks and the recreation departments are all over at Brookside School. We will start the open forum portion of the meeting shortly. The open forum is the portion of the meeting when members of the public can share their comments with the town board. I will give instructions on the open forum once we get to that part of the agenda, if we do have anybody for open forum. But I will give you all a heads up. If you are watching us on YouTube, on our live stream, you will have to log in to Zoom in order to participate in the open forum. There are instructions for doing that on the town's webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. As we've done now for many years, we make our town board meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters. And tonight, Samantha Geffen and Susan Ogden are our interpreters. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Susan. It's a real service you're providing to the community. As a reminder, the agenda for tonight's meeting and all of the supporting material are on the table outside the door here, and they're also available on the town's webpage. I ask that you rise, all of us rise if you are able. If not, rise in spirit. We'll start a meeting with the pledge. Councilmember Corrado, if you would lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're now going to begin our open forum that we do at the start of every town board meeting, but I'm observing we don't have anybody here in the room, it appears, for the open forum. We also don't have anybody at this point on Zoom for the open forum. So what I'm going to do, instead of reading all those instructions that I read at the Zoom, for the open forum, I'm going to skip over that with the understanding that if someone does come in the next few minutes and wants to be a part of the open forum, we will go back and do that at that time. So with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Yes, I've been thinking how to do it. Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. We have no public hearing tonight, so we will go straight to communications. Can I have a motion to receive and file the communications?
I move that we receive and file the communications.
Second?
Before we vote, I'm going to talk about these. And one of the reasons I want to talk about the communications tonight, in 13 years serving as town supervisor, I truly don't think I have ever been struck by an item of communication the way I have by the first item tonight. The first item of communication tonight is from Mayor Brian Ostrander. Mayor Ostrander is the mayor of the municipality of Brighton, Ontario, Canada. I think it's an important letter. It's a very meaningful letter in the light of what's going on in the world right now. So with everybody's, at your pleasure, I'm going to read it. It's a little long, but it's important. It's addressed to the Town Board. Dear Brighton Town Board, I hope this letter finds you well. As Mayor of Brighton, Ontario, and again, this is from Mayor Brian Ostrander from Brighton, Ontario, I'm writing to seek your collaboration as a border community in the United States in advocating for measures that protect our shared interests and promote economic growth. Brighton is a community of 13,000 residents. We're located on the north shore of Lake Ontario, just 30 miles north of Rochester, New York. We share common interests and a similar economic landscape with communities like yours. And like you, we are now faced with a looming and unprecedented economic crisis. The proposed tariffs on Canadian goods by the United States federal government, including recent tariffs imposed on steel and aluminum, in addition to the import tariffs on U.S. goods proposed by the Government of Canada in response, will, if implemented, seriously harm our local economies. Products from Brighton, like dairy, soy, and winter wheat, and manufactured goods like custom bunkies and fertilizer, are part of the over $200 billion, billion with a B, in annual trade that Ontario supplies to U.S. households and businesses. In return, the residents and businesses of Brighton and Ontario rely on $80 billion worth of trade with our neighbors to the south. The communities we represent are inherently interconnected, benefiting from cross-border trade that provides jobs for our residents. While the U.S. government announced a hold on the initial tariffs, they have proceeded to implement tariffs on steel and aluminum, which we know from 2018 will have significant impacts on both these nations' economies. I would like us to work together to address the impacts that these policies will have on our local economies. Ontario's Premier, Doug Ford, has emphasized the importance of a strategic alliance between our countries, encapsulated in, and this is in quotes, Fortress AmCan. This collaboration is essential for safeguarding our economic ties to ensure that businesses on both sides of the border can thrive and avoid economic isolation. As we face pressing municipal challenges, from housing affordability to critical infrastructure needs, and yes, those both sound familiar to us on this side of the lake as well, it is vital that we form a united front. Our aim must be to foster an environment where communities can collaborate seamlessly, contributing to a robust and prosperous economy. When considering that the sectors that build cars, provide farm equipment, and distribute petroleum products rely on the free flow of goods and services multiple times in their manufacturing processes and generate over $1.3 trillion, that's with a T, trillion dollars in total annual trade value, it is clear that our economies are deeply intertwined and interdependent. Our shared border represents the world's largest undefended boundary, built on a foundation of cooperation and trade. The importance of maintaining this cooperative spirit cannot be overstated. I believe that the town of Brighton and the municipality of Brighton can work hand in hand to elevate our advocacy. A united voice will amplify our message to state and federal officials, ensuring that our community's well-being is heard. It was President John F. Kennedy, in his address to the Canadian Parliament in 1961, who said, quote, "Geography has made us neighbors. History has made us friends. Economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies." In this same spirit, as neighbors, friends, partners, and allies, I would welcome the opportunity to meet with you to discuss these pressing issues. I hope that we can work together to advance this conversation. Yours very truly, Brian Ostrander, Mayor. What a great letter, Mayor Ostrander. Thank you very much. And I have written him back. And I'll read this as well. You'll all be copied in. Dear Mayor Ostrander, thank you for your very kind letter. I can tell you that each of the members of the Brighton Town Board are deeply disturbed by what appear to be hostile and mutually harmful actions aimed at our friends in Canada. As you correctly point out, history shows that tariffs increase costs and inflation, hurt local economies, and harm relations between countries, or, in our case, between neighbors. Rochester has been one of the American cities most engaged in international trade, and of course, much of that trade has been with Canada. Our U.S. Congress member, Joe Morelli, has made it clear that he will not support such tariffs because they would cause inflation and damage households and communities on both sides of the border, not to mention the relationships that have been built up over hundreds of years of mutual respect and security. Several years ago, I stopped into my office at Brighton Town Hall on a weekend afternoon and saw two people and their motorcycles in front of the building. I walked over and said hello to them and learned that they were visiting the Rochester area from Brighton, Ontario. They had wanted to visit Brighton, New York before they left Rochester. I had a wonderful chat with them, talking about our respective hometowns, and I wished them a safe trip home. That is what a friendly relationship looks like, and I share your commitment to support and build on the relationship between our two nations and our two communities. I will share your letter and my response with Congressmember Morelli and with our New York State legislators, Senator Jeremy Cooney and Assemblymember Sarah Clark. I will also read your letter and this response tonight at a regular meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I also look forward to reaching out for further dialogue with you and your team with the goal of visiting Brighton, Ontario, and welcoming you to visit Brighton, New York in the coming months. Thank you again for reaching out, and I look forward to building deeper relationships between our two communities. Sincerely, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. I got a little choked up at that one. That's special. And I truly do. I really look forward to furthering that relationship. The next letter is from Christopher Ketzley, Chris Ketzley, who serves as the chair of the board of Comp Alliance. Of course, Chris Ketzley is also the executive director of the New York State Association of Towns. The Comp Alliance is a collaboration of not only the Association of Towns, but also the New York State Conference of Mayors. And it has been a long-standing collaboration between those two organizations and hundreds of municipalities who are policy participants and generate our workers' compensation insurance coverage through the Comp Alliance. As nice as the letter is, it came with a check, and this was delivered to us at the New York State Association of Towns annual meeting last week. It was a check in the amount of $2,721, what they refer to as a member loyalty award check. As they say, it reflects recognition by the Board of Trustees of fiscal challenges faced by our members, and it provides a tangible benefit of municipal cooperation by returning funds for the benefit of your communities. The Loyalty Award Program has returned more than $5.5 million to Comp Alliance members since the program began in 2019. I believe we've received a check each year. So I certainly appreciate not only this check, but also the presence of Comp Alliance. We are participants in a couple of different insurance cooperative arrangements, really all of which have their roots in the challenge that municipalities have faced periodically in procuring insurance at reasonable prices. Over the years, and we have been with the Comp Alliance now for over 20 years, I believe, we do periodically go out in the market and look to see whether there are better options, but we've made the decision over time to stay with the Comp Alliance, A, because of its collaborative nature, but of course, B, more importantly, because it represents the best value for us and for our taxpayers. So thank you to Comp Alliance, and we're very pleased and hoping those loyalty awards will continue and even get bigger. Finally, the third letter tonight is from Pamela Mensa. She is the Youth Career Navigator for Rochester Works. Some of you met Pamela at our recent Black History event, Black History Month event, which was held right in this room. She sang really a truly stirring rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black National Anthem, as part of that event. Her letter thanks us for inviting her, but it also follows up on a conversation that she and I had about the work that our Chief Diversity Officer, Miriam Moore, and I are doing to engage in person with some of the organization we work with, trying to enlarge our pool of job applicants and increase the diversity of our pool of job applicants by reaching out to community organizations involved in the employment of diverse job seekers. As I said that day, DEI isn't about giving special deals to anybody. DEI is making sure that we are working as hard as we can in the employment area, and the DEI is relevant to so much of what we do, to make sure that we are identifying and hopefully hiring people from as large a pool of qualified applicants as possible. So working with organizations like Rochester Works, working with organizations like the Community Place of Greater Rochester. Our Chief Diversity Officer and I just met with them recently, and we're scheduling meetings with other groups. We've been reaching out to them, but getting face-to-face, really hearing what their needs are, and them hearing the opportunities that we have at any given time. Well, we want to share the attractiveness of municipal employment with the town of Brighton. And I can also say that workforce development is one of the most important missions of our new Chief Director of the Association of Towns, Chris Ketzley. You can't go 5 minutes talking with him without hearing the words workforce development. So the work that we're doing, and whether it's Rochester Works, whether it's Community Place, whether it's Ibero, or any of the other organizations that we engage with, trying to get as strong an employment pool is just one of the ways DEI works for the town of Brighton. So we have a motion to receive and file all of those items of communication. Any further discussion on them?
Note that it is just a 4-hour and 9-minute drive between Brighton, New York, and Brighton, Ontario.
Yep. Of course, you can drive a little bit faster on the north side of
This is
the
true.
border, although the posted speed limit is actually lower. The posted speed limit at 100 kilometers is actually less than 65.
But you're taking your life into your own hands if you go any slower.
Oh, gosh, yes.
The flow of the traffic.
So we have a motion seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll to receive and file those communications.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Manley.
Aye. committee reports, and we may be juggling them tonight, I don't know, but we'll start with one that I know is in person, Community Services. Robin.
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee met last Wednesday, February 20th. Among the items we discussed were, under continuing business, park issues. The staff continues their efforts to keep up with snow removal, plowing, and salting. Park staff is being thoughtful and sensible with salt applications due to the ongoing salt shortages in the region. The hiring process for a vacant full-time position within the Parks Department is underway, with screening taking place last week. Interviews began this week to hire for the position with an anticipated April start date. Annual facility maintenance is underway, including waxing the floors at Brookside Recreation Center and flooring rejuvenation at Carmen Clark Lodge. Field use requests have been coming in already for spring, summer, harboring a busy athletic season. And park staff is implementing routine equipment maintenance to prepare for warmer weather and lawn and field upkeep. In update to our recreation programs, February break week camps were going well and were at capacity last week. Our Taylor Swift party was last Friday, and it remains a very popular program with participants and staff alike, with everyone involved donning their favorite era's apparel. Summer camp and summer program planning is underway, with summer camp registration for Brighton residents beginning on Tuesday, March 18th. And it seems like every year that date is moved up a little bit. People are anxious to get their kids enrolled in activities for the summer. I will note that camp registration process is being updated to allow the necessary information to be collected digitally at the time of registration instead of on paper after acceptance into the program. As such, registrants should be aware that they should set aside more time to complete the online application than traditionally expected. The system will not allow for progress to be saved. In anticipation of construction at Brighton High School, we had conversations regarding the summer of 2026 farmers market and associated planning. The Brickyard Trail Art Exhibition entries are still being accepted. Opening day is on Saturday, March 8th, with doors opening at 10 a.m. to the exhibits and official ceremonies and public addresses taking place at 12 noon. An update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board. The Black History Month fireside chat between Dr. Tumika Wagstaff and Chief Diversity Officer Miriam Moore was outstanding, as was the rendition of the Black National Anthem by Ms. Pamela Mensah. We had a discussion of possibly trying a different time for the celebration to try to increase participation, acknowledging, of course, that youth participation is easier during daytime hours. Work also continues on developing Tuesday Town Talk series for March. An update from our Sustainability Oversight Committee, progress has been slow with solar installations as a result of roofing delays. But the annual report for the Sustainability Oversight Committee has been reviewed and should be ready for presentation to the town board soon. An update from our Conservation Board, the Pollinator Pathway Challenge push will begin this spring again, and there was a discussion of an interactive map being created to highlight the number of sites taking the challenge and increase overall awareness of the program. An update to our Town of Brighton annual Clean Sweep programming and recycling events. The location for Clean Sweep has been secured. It will be at the temporary location for Town Hall here at Empire State University. All relevant permits have been procured and plans are ongoing. Our semi-annual recycling event will take place the same day as Brighton Little League opening on May 3rd. And an update to our Beyond Pesticides program for Monroe County. Our Parks Superintendent, Matt Beeman, is reviewing information on the program, but is in touch with Rika Gopinath, the Community Policy and Action Manager at Beyond Pesticides. and there will be particular emphasis on sustainable means for addressing invasive species. Under items of new business, we received the annual report from the Brighton Farmers Market from Sue Gardner-Smith. 2024 was another record year for the market, both in terms of record attendance and vendor success. Parking concerns are ongoing with that success, and also with a greater number of Brighton Central School District athletic events scheduled during market hours, which generates higher demand for parking. SNAP sales have more than doubled from the prior year, with the market witnessing over $14,000 in SNAP sales, and that was doubled due to the SNAP bonus program, which farmers markets participated. Plans for the 2025 outdoor market are being developed. Meanwhile, the winter market is going extremely well. There are concerns with vendors running out of some of their fresh products, but we're looking forward to some early crops coming on as spring approaches, bolstering the availability of fresh produce.
I had some very nice fresh cinnamon rolls
Yeah.
from John John's Bakery.
And mac and cheese. There will be potential impacts to the outdoor market in 2025, with some construction at Brighton High School scheduled in the back corner by door number 20. That will require some shifts with the market layout to accommodate the changes in traffic patterns and parking. We're working on getting the Westfall site ready for the 2026 summer market due to construction planned at Brighton High School, and we're currently exploring all of the options for layout there. Our market supervisor is investigating agricultural and market grant funding available for projects up to $50,000, and working on special event dates for 2025. We do have the date set for our Juneteenth program, which will take place on Sunday, June 15th. The director is also continuing efforts to bring diverse community groups to the market and perform outreach to various school and club groups for participation in events. Finally, we had a discussion of some safety concerns relating to community-wide events at the market, and the importance of having strategies and safety plans in place to make sure that everybody can enjoy the market. And finally, there was a discussion of food trucks and finding a suitable replacement for one of our favorites, the poutine truck. So we will be looking for a replacement for it as that business moves on. Under items of new business as well, we discussed our upcoming Arbor Day activities. Arbor Day plans are underway. Conservation Board has approved the tree order. Matt Beeman, our park superintendent, has become planning for a tree nursery to help inventory right-of-way trees for replacement. And we know that the date of activities will be on Saturday, April 26th. Finally, just to list our upcoming events, we have the Brickyard Trail Art Exhibition, again, taking place at the historic Buckland Farmhouse, 1341 Westfall Road. That will be Saturdays and Sundays, March 8th and 9th, 15th, 16th, 22nd, and 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And again, opening remarks for the Brickyard Trail Art Exhibition will be on Saturday, March 8th at 12 noon. Our Tuesday Town Talk series, presented by the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board, will take place at the Brighton Town Hall, SUNY Empire State Campus, 680 Westfall Road, on Tuesday, March 11th, March 18th, and March 25th at 6:30 p.m. Our semi-annual Drug Enforcement Agency Pharmaceutical Take-Back event will take place at the Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing over at 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And our semi-annual Electronics Recycling and Secure Document Shredding event will take place at the Brighton Highway Department parking lot, 1941 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, May 3rd from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And again, Brighton Clean Sweep will take place, kicking off here at Brighton Town Hall, SUNY Empire State, 680 Westfall Road, on Saturday, May 17th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, March 19th, at 10 a.m. or immediately following our Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting at the Brighton Recreation Center, 1666 Winton Road South. As always, members of the public are invited and encouraged to attend. Please access the Recreation Building through the Winton Road entrance. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The chair of the Finance Administrative Services Committee is not with us. I know most of the items that we have on the agenda tonight were reviewed at the Finance Committee meeting. Do you have anything in addition to report on the
I do
committee?
not.
All
I do
right.
not.
Other than the claims that we'll get to in
we'll
just
get
a
to
moment?
the claims. I will remind everyone that the next meeting of the Finance and Administrative Services Committee will be next Wednesday, March 5th at 8:30 a.m. Here at Brighton Temporary, the temporary home of Brighton Town Hall, SUNY Empire State, 680 Westfall Road. As always, members of the public are invited and encouraged to attend.
Thank you, Robin. And Public Works and Public Safety.
I can
know
do a
you.
twofer here, and they're brief. Public Works and Public Safety have not met since the last town board meeting, so the next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be Tuesday, March 11th at 8 a.m., and Public Works will follow at 9 a.m., both right here in temporary Town Hall.
Temporary, but we love it here.
We do.
Yes.
Next, new business, reading and approval of claims. Robin.
Certainly. Earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $712,230.51. Among notable claims were a payment to Baker and Taylor, Inc. That was for adult, young adult, and children's books for the library collection. And that was in the amount of $8,375.45. We also had a payment to the Depository Trust Company, which represented principal and interest payment on the 2023 bond series and interest payment on the 2024 bond series. And that was in the amount of $46,041.59. Also, we had a claim to DSA Services, Inc., and that represented payment for asbestos abatement during the town hall renovation project, and that was in the amount of $94,240. And finally, we had a claim from Iron Mountain. That was payment for moving, storage, and document retrieval during the town hall renovation project, and that was in the amount of $39,538.78. All of the claims do appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Robin, why don't you do the next one as well, and then we'll just go back and forth.
Certainly. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Geese Control of New York for the provision of geese control at a rate of $695 per month for a term beginning April 1, 2025 through November 30th, 2025. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is, we've worked with Geese Control of New York for many, many years through the police department. We do get a lot of geese in Brighton, particularly around some of our drainage retention pond facilities, Loch DeVille and the like, and so the Geese Control helps keep the population in check. They do not provide services during the month of July, but otherwise they work from April 1st through November 30th. Why not July? Because the geese are molting during that time period. So, further discussion? Chief, anything more you want to say?
You covered it.
All right. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine?
I just want to note that they are Canada geese who are flocking.
Yes,
to
they are.
our waterways, and I'm wondering if we can make a deal with our friends in Ontario, Canada, to take their geese back. If you want to look into that. All right. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Pro Construction for the 2025 sidewalk repair program for the term of calendar year 2025 in an amount not to exceed $444,483.90. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
I would note that this will include both our sidewalk districts, which are anticipated at $344,000, and the town-wide sidewalk account, which is anticipated at $100,620. Further discussion? This is the second year of our ongoing contract with that firm. Actually, even with 2 years' worth of increases, they are still just below what the second lowest bidder had proposed as a price 2 years ago. So we've concluded that it does not make sense to go back out and rebid this at this point. We're taking advantage of the renewal. If there's nothing more, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Robin?
Certainly. The next item, I'm losing my place here. Next item seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Casella Waste Systems, Inc. for the 2025 dumpster and recycling contract in an amount not to exceed $22,920.43 for a term of calendar year 2025. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is the second year of a contract with Casella. This only relates to town facilities. This isn't the, the residential refuse and recycling pickup. This is our parks and our own town facilities. When I saw their 5% proposal and it referenced a consumer price index increase of around 5%, I thought that seemed kind of high because everything I had seen indicated that over the last year, the consumer price index has been closer to 3%. However, and there's all sorts of different sub-consumer price indices, and there is actually one for trash and refuse and waste, and that sub-CPI was in fact up around 5% this past year. So again, we looked at that and felt that although that is the maximum increase that they can request in a given year, that it was reasonable under those circumstances. So this is a 5% increase to a contract sum of just under $23,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a change order with Vargas Associates for move management, storage, and packing assistance related to the town hall renovation project in an amount not to exceed $6,900. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
The Vargas contract, as you mentioned, for move management, storage, and parking was for a total amount of $117,500. We authorized, when we approved that contract, the supervisor to sign change orders up to 10% of that amount. So far, we have signed 2 change orders. I have signed 2 change orders at a total amount of a little over $9,200. So this third change order will take us over that 10%. So we are asking for this additional service, and as you'll see in the letter, It relates to some additional items being moved in the library staff storage area. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine?
This next matter seeks to authorize moving 40 shelves from Town Hall for use at the Highway and Parks and Recreation Departments, with the understanding that new shelving units will be purchased as replacements upon completion of the Town Hall renovation project. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
And again, as you see in the letter, this is an opportunity to repurpose some of those shells out to the Highway and Parks and Rec Department, which makes a whole lot more sense than storing them. So that's what we're asking your approval for. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Next is an agreement with Elaine Ainsworth, and that name sounds familiar to everybody because she is our former town assessor, and this is for services through the assessor's office as we go into our revaluation, which will be a high-intensity time period. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, but this would be a contract for various services with our assessor from March 1st through May 30th. And Christine,
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
All righty.
So the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Elaine Ainsworth, former town assessor, for services for the assessor's office in an amount not to exceed $30 per hour during March 1, 2025 through May 30th, 2025. And I move that we adopt that resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye, and I think Robin did the last two, so I think what I'll do is have Christine do
Happy to.
the last two.
The next matter seeks to set a public hearing on the establishment of Extension 112 to the Brighton Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District. That hearing will be held on, bear with me one moment.
March 26th.
March, yes.
Thank
March
you,
26th.
March 26th. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
It's one lot district extension, the property's on Eldridge Avenue. And there's all sorts of information about it, as there always is
Lots
on
of-
the seeker and everything else.
Yes.
Unless there's any questions, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. And although I'm not sure quite where we got out of the order, Christine, go ahead and do the last one.
The last matter seeks the appointment of the intermunicipal cooperation official for the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And who is the intermunicipal cooperation official, and why are we doing this? Well, our intermunicipal cooperation official, who is, she's not getting any pay raise this year. She didn't get paid last year, and she's not getting paid this year. She is a volunteer. It is our good friend and former supervisor, Sandy Frankel. Sandy has continued to serve on the board of one of our other insurance providers, NYMIR, the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal, as she's done since her time of service as supervisor 13 years ago. But to continue to do that, she has to have at least some volunteer role, and she has been very helpful over the years as there are significant policy issues that NYMIR is addressing or changes in policies. She's really been very helpful in reaching out and making sure we're up on things. So it is my recommendation that we continue to have Sandy serve at no expense as our intermunicipal cooperation officer. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Now, let me get through this big old pile here and get back to here we are. Okay, we've talked about the Great Black History Month event. The day after that, Councilmember Wilt and I were over at Brighton High School for the Brighton High School Black History Month event, as we do each year. This year, the speaker, Judge Van White, Judge White was just spot on in speaking with the students, inspiring them, I'd say, to, play through the challenges. He was not sugarcoating anything, but he really had just a great message for the students. Judge White is himself a Brighton High School graduate, and I think that made his words resonate even more with the students. Everybody wanted to get their pictures with Judge White at the end of the ceremony. It was really great.
Even though he no longer sports that impressive afro.
That is true.
Enjoyed the photo.
Oh, they were. Those were good. A lot of us don't, have all the hair or have the hair the same color. The town, with everything going on, the town signed on to an amicus brief. I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, challenging the executive order that would reverse the very clear language of the 14th Amendment. That executive order would eliminate birthright citizenship, which has been enshrined in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution for, since 1865, 6, whenever that was adopted. Children born in the United States are American citizens in almost all cases, regardless of the citizenship status of their parents, with only a few exceptions for parents who are really not under the jurisdiction of the United States, particularly diplomats and military, the foreign military. The federal district judge enjoined the Trump administration from implementing this executive order, which just on its face appeared to be illegal because it is utterly inconsistent with the words of the 14th Amendment, right on its face. The Federal Court of Appeals has upheld that injunction, so we'll see where, if at all, the Trump administration goes in trying to pursue. We got a few lawyers in the room here. It's a loser, both in terms of the law and in terms of the policy. The town of Brighton will continue to engage in matters like this when opportunities present themselves, recognizing again that Brighton is a diverse community and that our job as officers of local government, which is, of course, as we like to say because it's true, local government is the level of government closest to the people. Our job is to represent the diverse populations of Brighton, and I certainly believe that we did that in this case. I mentioned that we, council members Corrado, Wilt, and myself, all three of us up here, were at the New York State Association of Towns annual meeting in New York City last week, along with attorney to the town, John Mancuso. John and I made a presentation on incentive zoning to a group of over 100 people, mostly town attorneys. I think that talk was well received. I think we were just talking about it. We had an hour. We could have talked for 2 hours easily. You know how valuable we feel incentive zoning is as a land use tool. And really, there is no other community in New York State with as much successful experience using incentive zoning as Brighton has. I could say a lot more about the annual meeting. We got the check from Comp Alliance, but rather than go into it all, I would simply say that that annual meeting is an example of how collaboration in government is so important. It's how local government and really all levels of government can work most effectively and, maybe more important, efficiently, both in terms of getting the services out to our residents, but also obviously financial. The New York State Association of Towns is one important vehicle in bringing 933 towns in the state of New York to work together. Next Tuesday, I'll be back in Albany. It's Lobby Day. The Association of Towns and NICOM, the Conference of Mayors, will be lobbying our state representatives on issues of importance to local municipalities. Infrastructure funding, particularly complete streets, highways, sidewalks, water and sewer. Also, issues of workforce development are going to be issues that I know we're going to be focusing on. I do want to mention again the upcoming revaluation. We've been talking about it, but Brighton homeowners will be very soon receiving their first notice concerning the updated valuation of their properties as part of the townwide revaluation process. We expect they'll be coming either the latter part of next week or, the weekend, a week from this coming weekend. As we've been saying, it's really important. These impact notices are going to show significantly increased property values, significantly increased home values in most cases. Our last revaluation was 2018. Home prices, Rochester has been one of the, if not the hottest market for residential real estate in the country. And Brighton has probably been the hottest part of the hottest market. We were voted the hottest zip code in America in 2022. So yes, you will anticipate seeing significant increases in your home values when you get those notices. And this is not just a residential revaluation, it's commercial as well. But I can't stress enough, an increase in your valuation of your home does not mean your taxes are going to go up by that same amount. They may not even go up at all. Many of them will, but some won't. As is always the case, our goal is to get your home and everybody's home at fair market value. Some properties have gone up more than others. Some people have done lots of improvements to their homes. Others, really haven't been in a position to do that. But what is true across the board is your home, our goal is to value your home at 100% of its fair market value. Now, when you get that notice in 10 days or so, and you don't think it reflects fair market value, what do? You will have, every property owner will have as many as 3 opportunities to appeal, to grieve, as they say in property tax assessment terms, the value of their home. The first one is an informal process, and you'll be getting instructions on how to do that with this notice that'll be coming out. I know a lot of people have been into the assessor's office lately because you also recently got a postcard talking about tax exemptions, specifically senior tax exemptions. So I know a lot of folks have been talking with the assessor already. But what we really want to encourage everybody to do as part of this revaluation process, when you get the notice, if it doesn't look right, go to the assessor's webpage or call the assessor's office if you have any questions, want to know more how to proceed, how to challenge the assessed valuation. The assessor isn't perfect. It's a human process, and you may know more about your house than the assessor does. So don't hesitate. Go to the assessor's page on the Brighton webpage, or call our town assessor, Janine Whitaker. Her number is 784-5215. That's all I have. John, attorney to the town, anything?
Nope, nothing to report, Supervisor. I would like to request a brief executive session on a few matters involving the employment of a particular person.
Will do, thank you. Matters of the town clerk.
Unfortunately, I didn't think to bring this downstairs until you were talking about some of the exemption information. But in addition, as if there wasn't already enough going on, I don't know if you have it.
I don't
Copy
have
of
it
it
with
with you?
me,
Okay.
no.
So the state is making changes to STAR. So everyone is going to be receiving a letter in the mail specific to your property. At least those on the exemption program will be receiving a letter. So an exemption is, so if you look at your school tax bill and there's a subtraction for STAR on the bill, that's the STAR exemption. A number of years ago, in 2016, they started the STAR rebate program, which is for the folks who have purchased a house since 2016, or people who have switched to it where they get a check for the amount of that STAR instead of having it subtracted off the bill. For accounting reasons that, to be perfectly honest, I don't fully understand, the exemption is not as favorable to the state on their books as the rebate program is. And they are cleaning things up, and they've slowly been moving people to the rebate program. It started out with people, I think, making over $500,000 had to switch, and then it dropped a couple $100,000 less than that, and they've slowly been kind of moving people to that. So this letter is, you're going to have 45 days from the date on the letter to really to opt in to staying on the exemption, as I understand it. So you still have a chance to stay on the exemption, but they've made it opt-in, so I'm sure a lot of folks are going to get tripped up on that and get moved over. It's not a bad, I shouldn't say tripped up because that frames it negatively, and it's not a bad thing per se. It's just a change. And you'll receive that check. Technically, that check can increase from year to year depending on economic factors that are, again, over my, pay grade. But, so again, it's not, I don't, make sure it's not a bad thing. It's just, again, it's just different. So the impact that really a lot of folks will have is that if you get the exemption and you have your taxes escrowed through your mortgage, that is going to have an impact on that first year of the change because they're going to pay, well, actually, it's the second year. So they're going to pay out more than they were expecting. So that following year, you're going to recalculate your mortgage for the year and bump it up to recover what they've spent. Probably way more than I should have gotten into at a board meeting table. That's another question you can call the assessor's office about, and they can happily go into that and the experts in this field and the detail to talk about what that is. But it's just another change that's coming, and just keep an eye on your mail for that as well.
Thanks, Dan. Since you're talking about those exemptions, I do want to mention one other reason that it is important for towns like Brighton to do a revaluation. Right now, we know that home prices are, fair market value of homes are significantly, in some cases double, what your assessed value is. That is the impact of reducing the amount of some of the exemptions that you're entitled to. As a veteran, for example, veterans getting some of these veterans tax exemptions are getting less than they will because they're based off the assessed valuation, which is today artificially low. After revaluation, again, that fair market value will be your assessed value. You'll be assessed at 100% of your fair market value. That will make some of those exemptions, like the veterans exemption, more valuable to homeowners. So, wanted to make sure I got that in. Matters of the town board. Then I do want to thank our ASL interpreters. Again, you provide an important service to the community, and I thank you. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of particular people?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss the employment of particular people.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mann?
Aye. Our next meeting will be March 12th here at Empire State University. I do not anticipate that we'll be coming back into open session after this executive session. Also, I just want to note, at that meeting on March 12th, I will be delivering the annual State of the Town address in addition to the regular agenda we have on the meeting that night. So without further ado, we'll go back into executive session. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.